Hey Eagles fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now. Before we go ahead and grade Jalen Reagor, the Eagles' first-round draft pick, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to Philadelphia Eagles Now if you guys like the pick. If you're excited about the Eagles, not just after the first round, but maybe the second, third round going into 2020, this is the place to be. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button for me. That way you are ready to go whenever we drop the latest videos here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Now, of course, you came to the video. That way we can talk about Jalen Reagor and the grade I'm going to give the Eagles. Are you ready for that? All right, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so if you were living underneath a rock yesterday, maybe your significant other took the remote control away, you did not get to see what the Eagles did, here it is, although you probably know, let's be honest, it's Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU. Philadelphia stays at number 21 and takes what I guess they consider is the best wide receiver available at that time. Now, the problem is, all of Philadelphia collectively is groaning right now because a couple of picks earlier, the dream scenario happened in terms of what could have happened for Philadelphia. Well, the dream scenario was somehow trading up for CeeDee Lamb, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma, who was not supposed to be anywhere past 15. Like, there was no way he was going to be past 11. There was no way he was going to slip past 12. No way past 13. No way past Denver at 15. And then there he was. He was still available all the way until number 17 overall whenever the Dallas Cowboys went ahead and took him. And that, of course, rubbed a lot of Eagle fans the wrong way. And listen, I get it, right? I mean, here on Philadelphia Eagles Now, I was one of the big champions for CeeDee Lamb. I've said many, many times that CeeDee Lamb was the best wide receiver in this draft. I still believe that to this day, and he's a Dallas Cowboy now. He's the arch enemy of the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles will now face their mistake twice a year. Now, with that being said, I think that to kind of take our upsetness about CeeDee Lamb away and out of the picture, our bias towards CeeDee Lamb, and then focus solely on Jalen Reagor, because when you finally do that, and that was my problem last night, especially on our live draft coverage, I was upset just like everybody else in terms of wanting the Eagles to get CeeDee Lamb. You take CeeDee Lamb out of the picture, and you realize Jalen Reagor's pretty good, and Jalen Reagor has some very big play potential in Philadelphia, and the stats and numbers, which we'll talk about here in a second, do not do the justice that it duly deserves on how great Jalen Reagor really was at TCU when he really did not have a good quarterback overall. Again, you sleep on it. Hopefully you did sleep on it last night, and you woke up and you kind of watched some highlights and you kind of studied the film a little bit more, and you went, you know what? As much as we wanted CeeDee Lamb, much as Philadelphia Eagle fans wanted CeeDee Lamb, it's actually not a bad idea to stay put at number 21 overall and get Jalen Reagor. I'll say it right now, I am starting to like the Jalen Reagor pick, and I'll explain more on that here in a second, but if you're still upset, well, give me a grade. What would you grade the Eagles' pick of Jalen Reagor at number 21 overall? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know in the comment section down below. Honestly, it's not an F. I'll give you my grade in a second, but it's not an F by any means. It's not a D by any means, and it's not a C either. Honestly, the pick is pretty darn good. So if you have your grade submitted right now, we'll go ahead and show you guys mine. It's a B+. Honestly, I think it's a B+ overall. There's still a little bit of that residual. I wish I would have had CeeDee Lamb. There's a lot of me that said Justin Jefferson was a better pick overall. But when you actually realize what Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson were thinking when they went with Jalen Reagor, it makes perfect sense. Here's Howie Roseman talking to the media after the pick late last night, said, quote, "It was important to us that certainly we kept our high picks. We haven't had a lot of those, and guys really weren't in a range where it was even in consideration that we could get somewhere without a really high pick." What is he saying there? Let me go ahead and dissect that. So ESPN's Sal Paolantonio told, I believe it was Get Up this morning, which would technically be Friday morning, that the Philadelphia Eagles tried to trade up for CeeDee Lamb. Like, they tried really hard to trade up for CeeDee Lamb, were unable to do so. Why were they unable to do so? The reason is they did not want to give up number 53 overall. They did not want to trade their second-round draft pick, which is what it would have cost to go ahead and move up to 15 or 16 or 14 to get CeeDee Lamb. Philadelphia wants to pick in the second round. Philadelphia wants to pick in the third round, and Philadelphia definitely wants to go ahead and pick 3 times in the fourth round as well. They have holes. They have holes at linebacker. They could use an offensive lineman. They need a running back. They could obviously use a defensive end. There's a lot of holes the Philadelphia Eagles still have, and yes, could they have moved up for CeeDee Lamb? Sure, but they believe in Jalen Reagor, and they believe that he's going to be a great football player, and to get him plus keep pick 53, that's the key here. So we Philadelphia fans should grade the Eagles draft, not just on Reagor, but on Reagor plus 53, because that's what Philadelphia saved and staying put and taking him. Give me one-word reaction to the Reagor pick. Give me a one-word reaction whenever you saw the Reagor pick come across your screen last night. What was your one-word reaction? I'm trying to think of what my one word would be. But when it happened, it was shock. And then whenever I've kind of slept on it and woke up the next day, it is understanding is probably the right word right now for me. My one-word pick for Jalen Reagor, again, just explained. Because of number 53 overall, it just, keeping it makes a lot of sense. So give me your one-word reaction to the Reagor pick. The Eagle wide receiver core, even without CeeDee Lamb, putting Jalen Reagor in there, it's pretty good. Especially, I mean, if Alshon Jeffrey stays, you got Jeffrey, you got Deshaun Jackson. Reagor obviously is going to get a lot of snaps, and then you kind of have Whiteside, you have Greg Ward, and possibly another rookie if they draft another one later on in the draft, as I expect that they will. A lot of options there in terms of what Carson Wentz is looking at. The big knock on Jalen Reagor going into the 2020 NFL draft was his size, obviously at 5'10", and pretty, not exactly the biggest receiver out there, but the stats from 2019. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. In 2019, Jalen Reagor had 43 catches, 611 yards, and 5 touchdowns. You look at that and you go, Justin Jefferson had, 18 touchdowns last year, 111 total catches. This makes absolutely no sense. Now, you dig a little deeper, back to 2018 when TCU had a decent starting quarterback, this happened. He had 72 catches for 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns and had 14.7 yards per catch. So these actually shows when he has a good quarterback, he can actually be a pretty good wide receiver, not just at TCU, but in Philadelphia as well. He had the least amount of accurate passes thrown to him out of all the top wide receivers in the draft. The top 10 wide receivers ranked in the draft, he had the least amount of accurate passes thrown at him, which shows you just how bad the quarterback at TCU was last year. I'm trying to show you guys that this is not a terrible pick. I know a lot of people are upset that CeeDee Lamb was a Cowboy, but if you take that out of your mind, you don't even think about Dallas right now because they still have Dak Prescott as their quarterback, which obviously is a massive issue, in my opinion. The Eagles are going to be okay, and Reagor is actually going to turn out to be a pretty good pick. Now, moving forward into the second round, as of course the second round will be happening tonight. This is being filmed on Friday morning, so if you're watching this on Saturday, then obviously we already know who they picked. But tonight is the second and third round of the NFL draft. We get the mid-round picks, those early mid-round picks that Philadelphia obviously needs to go ahead and cash in on. 7 total picks remaining in this year's draft. I expect them to get another wide receiver, and I also expect them to go ahead and get a linebacker because linebacker is still a mega need for the Philadelphia Eagles. It could be the pick at 53 overall. Maybe they move up for a linebacker. Maybe they get one in the third round, like a die out of Oregon, like we mocked just a couple of days ago. Linebacker, wide receiver are still going to be coming off the board for Philadelphia. Your total needs are wide receiver, linebacker, running back, cornerback, and defensive end. Probably throw an offensive lineman in there as well. The biggest names left on the board in terms of what you could do with number 53 overall. Listen, there are still some good running backs out there. J.K. Dobbins is still available out of Ohio State, a guy that I've said would be a perfect fit in Philadelphia. Jonathan Taylor also is still available right now in terms of getting him later on in the second round. Laviska Shenault, if you wanted a wide receiver. T. Higgins, Denzel Mims out of Baylor, he is still available. There's a plethora of cornerbacks out there. And really, A.J. Epinesa, the defensive end out of Iowa, is the best defensive end still out there if the Eagles want to go ahead and get a defensive end there in terms of the second, or pick 53, or in the third round as well. Who do you guys want in round 2? Like, if we stay put at number 53 overall, where do you guys want to go? You want to stay wide receiver? Do you want to go a linebacker? You want to go running back? Is it Higgins? Is it Shenault? Should Phillies trade up? Let me know what you guys think about what the Eagles should do in the second round. The remaining picks are just as they follow. I'll go ahead and show you guys. So they have 53 overall. They have 103 in the third. They have 127, 145, 146 in the fourth. They have 158 in the fifth and 190 in the sixth. So there's a lot of action to be had for Philadelphia. And with all those fourth-round draft picks, do not be surprised if Philadelphia decides to go ahead and trade up, whether that's moving up in the second round, going from 53 to 40, or going from 53 to 37 with the Chargers or something like that, or the Vikings now, I should say, and getting a Denzel Mims. That's a possibility for Philadelphia. They could stay put, take the best wide receiver available. They could get a cornerback. They could go defensive end. A lot of ways and a lot of areas in terms of what Philadelphia can do with their remaining 7 overall picks, but I think they're in a very good spot and a very good place to go ahead and make some key selections in terms of hopefully filling out this roster and making the Eagles as good and dangerous as they can in 2020. A lot of great players are left, so just stay tuned. And of course, we'll have the live draft coverage here at Chat Sports. Go over to our main channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. That is the place to watch the draft. We had, 50,000 people minimum last night watching the draft day on our main YouTube channel. We are the best place to do it. We're the most watched online draft yesterday, and we expect to do that again for rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So all live rounds will be covered here at Chat Sports, youtube.com/chatsportstv. All right, all the time we have for today. Again, hopefully I changed your mind a little bit about Jalen Reagor. I mean, listen, every single draft pick, there's some greatness about them, and there's some potential to be a bust. Even Burrow at 1, all the way down to Mr. Irrelevant, the final pick in the NFL draft. We'll wait and see. Hopefully the Eagles can develop Jalen Reagor into the wide receiver we hope and expect him to become. We'll talk about the other draft picks coming up tomorrow. All the time we have for today. For Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.